All right, video's rolling. Hello, everybody. Nice to see you. All right, put that down there. You want to? Yes. Okay, here we go.
Talk show. Recorded live.
Good evening. This is Gary Rossio of the San Diego Veterans Coalition. You're listening to GC Community Chat. And now here's your host and my good friend, Mr. Kerry Parton.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of GC Community Chat. I'm your host, Kerry, and joining me tonight is Wayne County Commissioner Richard LeBlanc, Dr. Tom Iwinski, and Mike Jones. This show is dedicated to the residents and businesses of Garden City, as well as the surrounding communities. Remember, we're working hard to promote our community and yours. Well, hello again, and welcome back to GC Community Chat, and you're listening to show number 242. This is the podcast where we promote news, information from our community and yours. I'm your host, Kerry, and joining me tonight are my co-host, Mr. Dr. Tom Iwinski. Tom, how are you?
I'm doing all right, trying to stay warm.
Yeah, you and everybody else.
We all.
Also, former Garden City Councilman, Mr. Mike Jones. How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing great, and I stayed warm by not going to the ballpark the last 2 days.
Yes, you did. That's for sure. And joining us a little bit later will be County Commissioner Richard LeBlanc. We're hoping he's going to be here. He's actually at an event with County Executive Warren Evans tonight, so maybe Richard will share with us what took place there. On tonight's show, we are happy to welcome as our guest for tonight Amy Neary, who is the Senior Principal Planner with McKenna Associates, and she'll be here to answer your questions about opening a business in Garden City, how long might it take, signage questions, and much more. So we'll have her here shortly, and you don't want to miss that. Also, Tom will be here with the latest weather for us. Joey and Holly have their gardening tips, and tonight we're talking about edible perennials. And we have several community announcements for you and much more. So why not grab your favorite beverage, sit back, and hang with us for the next 60 minutes or so. Should be a good one. Now, it's very easy to join us here live tonight. You can call in by dialing 1-724-444-7444 and enter the call ID 82757 followed by the pound sign. Or join us in our chat room by going to TalkShoe.com and search for call ID 82757. That takes you right to our main show page where you'll click on the large join button and a window will open. Just sign in as a guest and that takes you right to where you want to go. Once you're in the chat room, you can type your comments at the bottom of the page, and you'll find our phone number and show ID there as well. You can always text your questions to us at 734-788-9319. Tonight's show audio is recorded, and it will be posted on our Facebook page at facebook.com/GCChat as soon as it's made available about 30 minutes or so after we sign off. We're also doing a live unedited video of tonight's show, and that will be available sometime tomorrow on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/communitychatshow. And while you're there, why not subscribe? That way you'll be notified when we post future shows. And if all that was enough, we are also in iTunes. Just search for GC Community Chat. All right, let me just mention next week's show on Thursday, April 30th, so you can mark your calendars now, especially if you're a veteran and a veteran that served during Vietnam. Because our guest is going to be Mr. Richard Waldecker. He is a veteran and a member of the VVA Vietnam Veterans of America, Chapter 528 of Plymouth, Canton, Michigan. He served in Vietnam from 1968 to 69 as a U.S. counterintelligence agent. And next Thursday, we will be discussing the subject of Agent Orange, the history and the effects of it still today. Also joining us will be State Senator David Knisik, veteran himself and dedicated advocate for veterans. I urge you to share this with any veterans you know and have them tune in for this very important show. Okay, coming up now, Dr. Tom and the weather, and then we'll get to Holly and Joey, and then our special guest, Amy Neary. Okay, let's do a check on weather with Doppler Tom. Let's see what he has in store for the rest of this week and the weekend coming up. Tom, take it away. Well, is it winter? Is it spring? What is it?
I'm going to make up a new word that's the combination of the two.
What?
We're going to call it
Sprinter?
wing.
Okay.
Yes, the last few days have been just unseasonably cold, and we even seen some, dare I say, the S word, snow.
Yeah.
And it's a good thing that Mike Jones did not go to that game because you've probably seen it on TV. The snow was coming down at times during that ball game last night.
Yes, it was.
It was a very bad game to watch anyway, so we clicked it off very quickly. But nevertheless, yeah, the snow was flying yesterday, and we did not see any measurable snow because it was so warm, but it was very cold in the upper atmospheres, and that snow did make it to the ground, but it melted very quickly. But I just wanted to briefly talk about some snow information. I know people are saying it's so late in the season to get snow. Yes, it is, but the latest date we've ever had snow in Metro Detroit is May 22nd, 1883.
Are you serious? Wow.
So it can snow all the way up into late May. But the good news is not see any more snow in the forecast. So that's some good news. The bad news is I do see a little bit more cold temperatures, especially tonight. So let's get into it. The sun is now peeking out. If you look outside your door, the clouds finally starting to break out there. But the bad news is as these skies begin to clear over the next few hours and during the overnight hours, the temperatures are going to drop as well. And tonight they're going to be dropping to its lowest point of the whole entire work week. So we have one more night of this dangerously cold air because, I mean, we got to think about it. We haven't been this cold in quite a long time. We're going to be in the upper 20s for overnight lows. So if you have any early plants that you bought, anything early vegetation or anything, we definitely need to bring it in or cover it up because it will be damaged or it could actually die as well. So we'll definitely keep that in mind throughout the evening if you have any plants outdoors. But the good news is that it's going to rebound very quickly tomorrow with all that sunshine out there. We'll probably get into the low to mid 50s. So that's going to be a nice rebound. So enjoy the mild temperatures. Because I do see a little bit of a cool down over the weekend on Saturday and a little bit more cloud cover as well. And those temperatures will probably be in the upper 40s with a little bit more cloud cover and a little bit of drizzle at times. But the sun will make a return on Sunday, and those temperatures, again, will rebound into the mid-50s. And those temperatures will continue to moderate as we get into next week. Next week looks like it'll be a quieter week. There isn't looking like it's going to be any rain and or snow out there. Temperatures will be in the 50s and getting into the mid to upper 60s as we get late into next week. So that's some great news, and we'll see a lot of sunshine next week as well. Some mix of clouds and sun as well. So that's the recent weather and the weather forecast for us. But expanding out into the national forecast, we have some problems out there. There's a lot going on all across the United States and across the world to begin with. Severe weather, it's this time of year. We need to think about it. Luckily, there's no severe weather happening here, but there's a lot of severe weather happening all across the United States, especially from Texas all the way into the southern United States as well, and that's going to continue as we head throughout the next few days. A very long period of severe weather, a lot of damaging winds, large hail, flooding, even the potential for some tornadoes as well. So if you're in the southern states, the severe weather is going to stay south of us, but if you're in those neck of the woods, you definitely need to keep tuned to the weather because it's going to be changing very quickly over the next few days, so keep that in mind. And briefly, switching gears into more of an international weather, I just wanted to briefly mention it because it's been such big news in the international weather. Australia has been dealing with a lot of big cyclone upper atmospheric storms that have been hitting the coast for days now. I know that our friend Jerry Thorne, our party animal friend, has been stuck in Australia, but now he's out of it. But he's been in it on vacation,
right? And
they've been in that storm, so they have been dealing with a lot of rain, a lot of wind, a lot of flooding as well. So not the best time to go to Australia, but nevertheless, it's Australia. So
he's in Fiji now or something, isn't he?
Excuse me, I didn't.
He's in Fuji, or how do you say it? Fiji?
Yeah, he's in Fiji now. It's an island out in the Pacific, a very small island, but a very beautiful island.
Yeah.
He's out of the rain, he's out of the wind and all that, but this storm is probably going to continue for the next few days, and it's been continuing for the last few days. So we may have a few more days of all this crazy weather because these storms keep lining up. And the last story I have is another international story. You probably saw this on the news. It's pretty big hot topic. A pretty large volcano erupted in Chile, and it's been spewing all this ash and debris and lava and all the way up into the upper atmospheres and making for such amazing photography. But it's very dangerous as well because these volcanoes, they continue to erupt, and this erupted on Wednesday, and it's still erupting. And this is the first time it erupted, this volcano, in over 40 years. So they're not sure when it's going to end. It's creating its own weather. There's lightning going on because there's pyrocumulonimbus clouds. It's very interesting. But the downside is not the fun side. The side I like to talk about. But the bad side is there's a lot of evacuations going on because of pollution and ash and all that. So they're going to be dealing with that problem for quite a while, and it's pretty interesting to see what that will do to the overall weather for the whole world, because volcanoes, big eruptions like that, have a global impact. So I just wanted to briefly mention that volcano because it's quite interesting. But if you want to keep tuned to this, local weather information, just go to my website, DopplerTomsWeather.com. But we will get out of the cold, and spring will get here soon enough. So
let's hope.
We just have to be patient in Michigan because we know.
I saw
it sometimes does come.
I saw some of those pictures of that volcano, and it's just incredible.
It absolutely is.
Wow, it really is.
It is crazy.
And the drought continues in California, huh?
I tell you, I could talk about it every single week, Kerry, but it's a broken record.
That is crazy.
The drought is continuing in California.
Wow.
Just tell them to keep their hands off our Great Lakes water.
Exactly.
They could use any drop they can out there.
All right, thank you, sir. Okay, well, let's get to Holly and Joey in their 2-minute gardening segment, and then Amy's coming up.
This is Gardening in 2 Minutes.
There are two typical types of plants. There's annuals and perennials. Annuals are plants that you plant every year, and perennials are plants that come back every year.
Springtime is a great time to assess your property on whether or not and where to put perennials if you do decide to start them from seed, or in most cases, purchase them already started at your local home and garden center.
A lot of times people think that perennials are only for flowers, and this is not true. Asparagus is a perennial, and so is something called the Jerusalem artichoke, also known as the sunchoke.
Rhubarb, blueberries, blackberries, strawberries are other perennials that you can purchase from your local garden center. It's more reasonable to purchase them so you have a jump start. For many of these, it will take 1 to 3 years before you will actually see fruit on that particular plant.
The perennials are an investment for your garden. This is a situation where you know that you're going to be there for a while, and you want something that's coming back year after year. Also, if you're more of a lazy gardener, it's a good option for you as well.
Perennials can also be fruit trees. Many of these trees, fruit or nut, will take 3 to 5 and sometimes 10 years before you'll see a return on your investment as fruit or nuts are produced.
So before you invest in a perennial, make sure you do some research and you decide what would be best for your home, your garden, your homestead, or your small urban area.
And understand how each of them grow and when the proper time to prune them back or harvest them. For more information on perennials and what may be best to grow in your area, our weekly video productions, as well as our free downloadable digital quarterly magazine, you can find all that information at
the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com.
For the health-conscious organic gardener worldwide. For Gardening in 2 Minutes, I'm Joy Baird.
And I'm Holly Baird.
All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate that. Hopefully the weather will get warm enough and we'll be able to plant some stuff. All right. Yeah. All right. At this time, I'd like to introduce our special guest. She is a senior principal planner for our community, and she works with McKenna Associates. We are pleased to welcome to the show Amy Neary. How are you doing, Amy?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Glad to have you here. So, Amy, first tell us a little bit about yourself. How long have you been with McKenna, and just what does a senior principal planner do?
I have been with McKenna a little over 15 years, so
Wow.
a long time when you think about it. I have been with Garden City for the past couple years.
Okay.
At McKenna Associates, like you said, I'm a senior principal planner, so I work on a variety of community planning, zoning, parks and recreation, economic development. I've worked with downtown development authorities as well. So I work on a wide variety of community planning and zoning projects. Here in Garden City, I am responsible for the planning and zoning portion. So I actually do hours at City Hall on Wednesdays from 9 to 1.
Okay.
If folks have any sort of zoning or planning question, they can stop by and see me. But essentially, I'm kind of the person that helps get development projects through the process.
Right. So you work with, if somebody wants to come in and open a business in Garden City, you work pretty close with them then?
Yes. Yep.
All right. So speaking of opening a business in Garden City, what are some of the steps required to open a business here?
Well, one of the first things, before I even talk about the steps, the city has established several codes and policies that essentially provide me with my guideline of what needs to be done to enforce and for a new business when they come into place. So, those have been established and put in place to protect existing businesses and existing residents and future investment by residents. So my job is then to enforce those. The first thing that I would suggest anybody looking to open a business in Garden City do before you sign that lease, before you buy that property, is contact the city and see what your property is zoned to make sure that whatever that business is that you want to do, that it's permitted in that building or on that location that you want to do. Right. It's often sad, when someone has signed that lease already and there's not much you can do at that point. Right. Yeah. So that's the first thing. Contact and make sure that what you want to do is permitted. After that, before you occupy the building, before you start to do any renovations on the building, make sure you apply at the building department for a reuse and reoccupancy application. It's a pretty simple, straightforward application. Everything that's required to be submitted on that application is provided with you on that. So the next thing you would do is complete that and submit that to the building department. It sounds like a simple thing, but often this is the first part of the process where we get incomplete applications. So, business owners and people looking to open a business should kind of treat that like they would maybe if they were going to a bank and applying for a loan. You wouldn't apply for a loan without copies of your bank statements or, your W-2s. So all of that information needs to be provided at the time you make the application.
Now, where do you actually come in? Are you already involved right now then at this point?
So the first person that looks at that application once it gets submitted and is complete is me.
Okay.
So it comes to me, and then I will look at it and say, is the use permitted? And then yes, hopefully. And then go out to the site and look at the site and see, is this site in compliance with current requirements? And at that point, I look at what's on the outside of the building. So I will be looking at things like, are there potholes in the parking lot that need to be repaired? Is there a dumpster enclosure?
Cosmetic.
Making sure that the vegetation isn't overgrown along the wall in the back. Trash is cleaned up. Those are the items that I would identify. So once I've done that and I, put that in the system, the next step then is to notify the applicant that, hey, your use is permitted in the district. You have these issues you need to address. And then you need to come into the building department and schedule the inspections on the inside of the building. Okay. So then they schedule those inspections. At that time, they'll apply for a business license. And this can all get done within a week. It's, there's several steps.
Yeah, it sounds lengthy, but.
But it really can get done within a couple days. My review gets done, on that Wednesday when I'm there, and the owner is contacted at that time, and then they can schedule their inspections that day as well for the next available inspection date. So even though it's a couple steps, it really can get done relatively quickly if all the information is included in the application. Once that, go ahead.
What inspections do they have to do? Plumbing, electrical?
Right. So when you have a new occupant,
mechanics.
All the trades, essentially electrical, mechanical, plumbing, and then the building have to come in and do an inspection of the building to make sure that
it's live. So
wants to be a part of the show.
Yeah, exactly.
It complies with current codes. Often items that are identified at that time are making sure that there's fire extinguishers, that there's the right, GFI outlets, that they haven't done plumbing work without a permit and it's wrong.
Proper amount of exits, stuff like that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So those items are identified at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And then, all that information is given to the property owner or the tenant at that time. And really, then that can all get done. Like I said, if you get the complete application within a week, we can get that done, get those over to them within a week, maybe 2, depending on the day that they actually submitted it.
Mm-hmm.
And then kind of the ball's in their court. If there are violations that were identified, how long it takes them to address those issues and schedule the re-inspections.
Right. If anything's going to take time, that might.
Right. So, and then, as soon as they're done, they can come and schedule the inspections, and we can be out there, within the next day or 2 doing those re-inspections.
So all those steps are necessary then?
They are. The reason for them is, when there's a new business or a change of ownership or a change of use on a site, that's the opportunity for the city to make sure that those buildings are in compliance with codes, that they're safe
Yeah, you
for
want
the
it
public.
safe. Right,
Yep,
exactly.
and that they're
It
cleaned up.
protects us and the business owner.
Exactly.
Really.
And often some of these businesses don't change hands 10, 20 years. So we may not, as a city, have been in that building for a long time to see, what that previous tenant may have done in there. So it's the opportunity to make sure that, again, they're safe, the roofs aren't leaking and all of that kind of
So
stuff.
beyond the week that you said possibly to get all that done, inspections, how long does the business owner anticipate the process taking then before?
I usually, if they come in prepared, and
That's really
that's
important.
really the important. We need to know what is out there right now. If you're proposing any changes or have made any changes that might require a separate permit, like a plumbing permit.
Is there like guidelines that, you provide them with what you need right up front,
Yep.
and then they can go and prepare that, and that way they're prepared. And
Exactly. So there is a list of required information that comes with the packet that they get when they get a CFO
okay.
application.
Yeah.
And in there it says what's required. Now often people don't turn that page and look and see what's required, so we get incomplete applications, and that starts it off right away with starting, then they have to wait another week to start the process. And that gets frustrating for everybody involved in the process. So I guess I would just encourage them to give us as much information and make sure that the application is complete up front so that we can guide them in the right direction.
Okay, so Joe, did you have something?
Yeah, so would you say that Garden City is business friendly to new people?
I would say we are business friendly.
Because I'll be honest with you, we're out in the public a lot, and we hear pros and cons.
Yeah.
We're just not business friendly. It takes so long, and blah blah blah. That's what we hear. To play the devil's advocate.
I hear it too.
Yeah,
I hear it too every day. And I guess, we're not here to get in the way or to, stop businesses from coming. Really, my goal is, and I'd be happy if I had everything, occupied, is to get them through the process and get new successful businesses in here.
Yeah. But these are guidelines
challenge-
you have to follow.
Right. Yes, there are
just-
codes and ordinances
right.
of the city, but at the same time, just making sure that we get the right information and that, that complete information is done. And when you get that list of items, not assuming that you don't have to do them all, is really important. You need to take care of that list and schedule your re-inspections. The other thing I would point out about that is, I realize that as a community that, time is money for businesses. They want to get open and start,
Right.
The cash register going and making their money. So as long as they have, are going through the process and working on their violations, if there are some things left over, like one common item is dumpster enclosure. That's an issue.
I know. Yeah, I hear that.
So if that's not done, we're not going to hold up a certificate of occupancy because of that. We, as long as they're not major health, safety, welfare issues that are violations of the code that have been identified.
Yeah, that's something that could be corrected right away.
We
like
can issue a temporary
the dumpster.
certificate
Yeah.
of occupancy to give them some additional time to address those issues, but also get the door open and start making some money, maybe to pay for some of those improvements too. So, we will work with the business when it comes to that. The other thing is it's just communication sometimes too. Come talk to us.
Yeah.
If you have a problem with one of these violations or one of the one of the comments that one of the building inspectors may have put down on there or what have you, just just talk to us. Don't, assume, I guess.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mike?
How would you describe the percentage of occupancy of businesses in Garden City? Do we have a low number of vacancies, an average number? Or?
I don't know. That's a tough question. I don't know what our vacancy rate is for businesses.
Because that's actually a political issue right now in the city.
Yeah.
It is.
We do. And we do have some vacancies. And we have some buildings, some strip centers, too, that seem to experience a lot of turnover, in those buildings.
And I imagine that every community has that. But, the issue is in our community right now. So it is a political issue right now. We're just kind of wondering.
And I don't necessarily think it's in my opinion, the process, requiring a certificate of occupancy, a business license for these uses to be successful, or these reasons some of these buildings are vacant, there's many times they come to me with a question of is this use permitted, wherever, and I'm like, yes, what can we do to help? Let's get you in there. What can we do? And
well, that was a question. Like, suppose somebody finds a property that they're interested in, and the zoning doesn't permit them to have their business there. What can they do?
And it's happened a few times for us. Well, there's the first thing I tell people is, okay, well, just because I said no, it's not permitted in that district. Or, if a realtor comes to me or what have you, don't think that what use are you thinking about for this site? And if it makes sense, we have some tools in our zoning ordinance. We can do planned developments. We can do conditional rezonings. We can look at a traditional rezoning to see if it makes sense for that site to allow the expansion or what have you, the development to occur. We've done a few things to allow things that don't fit specifically in the ordinance in the past, where the old Knights of Columbus site is.
Yeah, I heard.
That one,
On hold.
It's on hold, right. But in order for us to facilitate that project, we had to do what's called a conditional rezoning. So we rezoned it with a bunch of conditions because it didn't fit nicely into our master plan and what we had planned for that property. But we had that tool available. Takes a little bit longer in terms of process when you don't fit nicely in the ordinance.
Yeah.
But if it's a good development on a good site and it makes sense, I've never had the planning commission or city council not look at, trying to figure it out with one of those other tools that we have available.
What about the over on Cherry Hill there, the old vet clinic? I see that was tore down now. Were you involved with that?
Yeah.
That was recently rezoned or something,
That
wasn't it?
was recently rezoned. So that property had been acquired by a new property owner, and he wants to develop it as commercial.
Right.
And so,
it's not really huge.
No, I don't remember the size of the property, but it's a small piece.
It is a small lot there.
And it was zoned office, and the areas we've had zoned just straight office in the city are kind of hard to. They're limited in what the uses are that are allowed in there. So when he came in, I said, well, you can apply for a rezoning. Let's do it. Let's try. Again, it was planned for what they asked for, so that made it easier as well in terms of the process. And again, it got approved. So now we're still waiting for plans for it to get developed, but at least it's a more marketable site for that owner in terms of the range of uses that can be permitted on there. And it's still it's our least intense commercial district that they got. So there's no drive-throughs. There's no major commercial outdoor storage. The stuff you see more on Ford Road with our heavier C3.
So what is happening where the jewelry pawn shop is supposed to go? I mean, that's on hold, I know. He wanted to purchase the building next to it, I believe.
That was, he did.
That was the
plan.
plan.
And he was unable to acquire that. Their plans for Ziedman's Jewelry and Loan, which was what was approved for there, have expired. And at this point, I actually spoke to the applicant today. They are looking at other alternatives.
Newsflash.
Right. Everybody. They are looking at doing more of a retail type development, not a pawn shop any longer. So they have been talking to some other retail uses and looking at doing more of a commercial center with possibly a restaurant drive-through attached to it.
Oh, okay.
Former Councilman Jody Dodge would be glad to hear that.
Yeah, there was a lot of pros and cons when you hear pawn shop, but
Yeah, they're really.
It was a jewelry pawn kind of real nice building. I mean, from what I understand, they're going to put in.
It was a great great building
Beautiful,
in
yeah.
terms of what they were doing. I would say it would probably been, comparable to like Yaldo, the Yaldo, that kind of look with the brick and the limestone feel.
So now that's on hold then for a while.
Yeah, that one, they're good. In talking to them today, their intent is to clean up the site. They took the fence down, if you've noticed that, and now they need to fill the grade, put some seed down, and just clean it up. It's not looking too hot right now.
Just dirt.
So they're going to be restoring their site and then looking at submitting a site plan in the future. That's their intent.
One other thing. Let me ask you about the bowling alley on Warren.
Yes.
I heard that was sold.
That was sold, but I don't have...
No info?
I don't have any info. I do know that it was sold, but no plans.
And I don't know how they ever read the phone number on there, because the chief was even saying, how the heck did they ever sell that? Because you couldn't read the phone number on it.
Yeah, I don't, I've had inquiries over, the past couple of years just about things that would be permitted in that building, but I haven't had any plans or anything from this.
Do you know what could be permitted there? I mean, how is
zoned commercial.
Okay, so just about
anything, really.
Right.
With the exception of, I believe, that parking area behind it that faces the residential street. I can't think of the name of the street right now.
I can't.
That kind of
Rush, I think.
Yeah, that's like kind of goes behind 7-Eleven back there. That area, I believe, is zoned for parking.
Oh,
so the commercial use couldn't go all the way into the neighborhood.
Right.
But don't quote me, but I'm almost positive that's zoned for parking.
What's the status of McDonald's?
You guys are asking all the good questions. McDonald's is, I don't know if I want to say on hold. It's in the corporate. Right.
It's in their ballpark.
So their regional real estate manager, who has been at several of the meetings that you may have seen, I spoke to him probably a month, 6 weeks ago, and at that time he said that the plans that were discussed at the last planning commission meeting, where they were, there were some changes and everyone was, pretty much in favor of without it having been approved, were taken to corporate, and they were doing their financing and getting whatever approvals they needed necessary to actually submit those documents to here.
Okay.
At that time, he told me it would be at least 90 days before I heard back from him. So I don't expect to hear anything additional from McDonald's for, another month or two.
So we're probably looking at 2016 now before they break ground, you think?
Yeah. And, that's kind of how this process has been with McDonald's.
It's
they
really
submit
been
something,
drawn out long.
And, we hurry up to get it all together and get it in front of the commission, and then we don't hear
it's
anything
like
again
there's
for a
always
couple months.
something.
So, right. And so, I think there has been some perception out there that it's been being held up by the city, but I'm here to say that McDonald's has been taking their time too, getting the information back.
And there's never ever been any talk of McDonald's pulling out. I mean, the deal at all. I mean, it's.
Well, I can't say never. At some meetings when some people might have said,
It's a
I
little
want you to
heated.
do this and I want you to do this and this, and they're like, well, we can't do it if you're going to make us do. But we're past that point, I believe. I think the commission and McDonald's has come to a compromise on what they submitted at the last meeting. And, as long as it comes back looking what they talked about, I don't see that conversation happening again.
Well, that's good.
But
that's good news.
you never know.
You never know. Exactly. So what are some of the most common items that must be addressed on a property prior to approving a new business? I know we went through the cosmetics part of it, but
and so that and the dumpster enclosures. I mean, you probably have heard of
that is a huge issue right now, isn't it?
Yes,
it really is. I don't know how we correct that. I mean,
well, and here it's a challenge because some of our sites can accommodate a dumpster enclosure, and some of our sites, the building literally goes from property line to property line to alley line, and there's nowhere to put a dumpster enclosure.
Right.
Right now, how our ordinance is worded is that you have to have a dumpster enclosure unless it's waived by the planning commission, and sometimes that to be honest, kind of scares a new business owner. What? I got to go in front of a commission. I got to, what do I say? What do I do?
Yeah.
So what we're trying to do right now is, as a planning commission, we actually have a public hearing coming up in May on our May 14th meeting, is to remove that requirement and give the administration some flexibility to make some modifications on what these dumpster enclosures will be, where they'll be located, to be able to be more flexible and to look at the individual sites and deal with the conditions that are on those sites, because sometimes it's not going to work, and we need to be able to acknowledge those in a faster, more streamlined way.
So do we actually have a material that they're permitted to use for an enclosure?
Right now, what our ordinance says is that it has to be a decorative masonry.
Masonry.
Yeah, for the three walls,
right.
and then an opaque metal gate.
Wow.
So it does have to be masonry.
Okay.
And then some of these buildings, some of them have been able to get away from having a dumpster and move to carts, like the residential carts, the one that don't have a lot of trash, which has helped and taken away that requirement for the dumpster enclosure. But some of them are still having, they need the dumpster. They don't have a place to put it. And then there is a cost. So we're just, again, cost isn't always the reason that we would give a waiver. If it's a high traffic use and, a fence is going to get knocked down every other time the trash hauler comes. But at least we're looking at getting ourselves to be a little bit more flexible in the requirement, and not have to have them go to the planning commission every time. And for between myself and the DPS director to make some educated decisions based on the existing sites.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just the placement of these dumpsters sometimes, like over by Kmart. I mean, it's like they're just right out in the middle of the parking lot for everybody. It's, it's like. And that's
the one like behind Albert's of the alley and all that.
Yes.
That's another whole animal, because that parking lot has a bunch
so
of different
bizarre.
owners and so forth. So I know that the DDA has looked at that and kind of coming up with a joint plan for everybody over there to share the parking, maintain the parking, and the dumpsters.
Try and put it in one central area or something.
Kind of like what they did on the other side in the parking lot over there.
Yeah.
But I know that has been on the DDA's radar for some time now.
All right. So what happens if a business opens without a certificate of occupancy or a business license? What happens?
Yes. So, and
I guess
and it does. So I guess please just do not enter, go into the building, open up shop without getting any permits or approvals.
Very important.
Because it's really going to make the process harder, for you, longer for you, and us. But ultimately, the city can require them to close. That's not really why, what we want to do. So we would prefer that you go through the process.
Yeah.
But, usually when this has happened, we've tried to work with the property owner, and as long as they are cooperative, we can get in the building relatively quickly, confirm that there's no health, safety, welfare issues that we need to, close the building down. Yeah. We can work with the property owner to get them into compliance. But it's usually a lot easier, a lot smoother, and a lot better if they do it right the first time.
Yeah, exactly.
Instead of us having to try to backtrack.
Yeah, that's a tough deal. So what resources are available for businesses to use?
One of the ones for businesses in our downtown is the DDA. The DDA is a great resource in terms of going to them. They have programs available for facade improvements, parking lots. They have improvements for signs and so forth. So they're
and we'll get into that.
Yeah, signs are one of my
that's a big deal.
Pet peeves, for lack of
it's a big deal.
And so they're a great resource. Outside of that, the city doesn't have any organized programs for outside of the DDA area. But if you were looking to do a business in the community, I would say please come to me or the city manager, and we can help you identify what resources might be available. Depending on the scope of the project that you're doing, there might be stuff available from.
Because let's face it, I mean, you're here to work with the business.
Yes.
I mean, you want them to open shop in Garden City.
The better and more vibrant Garden City is, that's a good reflection upon, we're doing our job, I think.
And if they have everything that you require ahead of time, I mean, it just makes everything so much smoother and quicker, right? So.
And I guess the communication is, key there. Just
communication's huge, I think.
And not just, I think sometimes, again, people talk, to one another out in the community and don't come to the city hall to get the information from the department that they need.
Yeah, they will. They'll talk to everybody but who they should probably talk to.
And then, well, I was told this. Well, maybe that wasn't right. Or
Yeah,
so
you're saying.
So I guess I would just suggest
right
that
to
you
you.
count, go to the building department if it's a building related issue, or me at zoning if it's a use related issue. But I would just encourage you to give us a call.
Yeah, I know, I get it. Did you want to say something, Cheryl? Yeah, yeah. Well, those issues I think have been resolved. But. So anyway, let's get into signage now, because that's a real big deal in Garden City right now. These sandwich boards and the permits and the fines, and people would rather pay the fines than take their board down. And
right.
So, do they all require a permit?
Most signs require a permit. Yes. So for a general rule of thumb, if you're putting up a sign in your business, assume that it requires a permit. There are very few that don't require a permit.
Not supposed signs.
Unless it's on the building or something.
On the window or signs in front of it?
So a window sign, that's a good question. So a window signs, they do not require a permit if they are less than 25% of your window area. So if you're going to cover up your windows, you need to come get a permit.
Okay.
And then it's also counted towards your allowable sign area. So in the zoning ordinance and our sign regulations, they have a formula of how much signage a building can have on it. And so you can use that number, that amount. So let's say you get 100 square feet, for example. It can be, part of it can be on your wall, like a wall sign. Part of it can be in the window, but you only get that 100, whatever that formula equals. And so, if it's like for the window, you wouldn't need a permit. If you're just putting up a poster every once in a while, come to Taste Fest.
But if you have a fixed sign on your building, on the facade, on the building, lit up.
Needs a permit.
It does need a permit.
Oh, yep.
Okay.
If it's a new sign and it's attached to your building, the building code actually requires that it have a permit too. And
it's got to be certain size and all this, or?
Yep.
Okay.
So, we're fairly generous in Garden City with the amount of signage that is allowed on a building. A building is allowed, or a tenant, let's say you have a strip mall, for your frontage, you're allowed 1.5 square feet for each linear foot of frontage. So if, you can, it's a lot.
Good.
Some communities don't allow
size.
that much. So we do actually allow a fairly decent amount of wall signage. We also allow on the sites that can accommodate it, pole signs and
pole
ground
signs,
in addition to that wall sign.
So why is this a pet peeve of yours, though? You mentioned,
well, because people aren't getting their permits,
Okay.
and they're installing signs that don't comply. So I guess that's why, a lot of it is the temporary signs. And I'm not opposed to temporary signs. It's just when you drive down the street.
You're talking the sandwich boards.
Yeah, the sandwich, or even a banner, or anything that's not a permanent sign.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and maybe you'll notice this now when you drive down the street, but one of the first things you start to notice is when they look tattered or they're not.
Yeah, no, I don't like that. I agree. Yeah.
And so, one of the purposes in limiting the amount of time that a sign can be up there, a temporary sign, for example, is so that it doesn't get worn and it doesn't start to look like that, and that, you don't have these all over your corridor. It's to help, with the appearance of your corridor. So where it gets to be my pet peeve is when I drive down the street and I see a flag or a tattered, and it's like, been out in the wind all winter, and it's
like the business on Ford Road that had the cloth awning that was flapping in the breeze for how many months? Has that ever been taken care of or addressed? I mean, that really looked tacky.
I don't know if that's been taken care of, but I know that the code enforcement officer had been taking care of it.
Angela's been busy.
Yes, and again, we have one code enforcement officer, so we have to.
Yeah.
He has to prioritize.
Because that's a real eyesore there.
Mm-hmm. So again, when I say pet peeve, it's that kind of thing. Not that. Everybody's business needs signs. You need to be able to advertise. You need to be able to promote your special events.
And you don't want crap put up. I mean, let's face it.
Right.
We're trying to get rid of blight in the city as it is. We don't want a crappy sign put up.
Exactly. And that's why we have permits. Is to help try to control that.
So when they come and apply for a permit, do they have to show you what the sign's going to look like before they put it out? Okay. Mm-hmm. And you have to prove the sign.
Yes.
Okay.
So, most often signs can get approved as long as their sign contractor has followed the size requirements and provided the information that's necessary. Those usually can get approved within it.
So now how do they work, the permit? How many days is it good for? How long can they keep it out? And
Yeah. So that's for temporary signs. If you get a sign
temporary,
permit for
I'm
the
sorry.
wall or what have you, you can have it up for as long as
Right,
that.
right. I'm saying temporary, yeah.
They get 60 days
Okay,
in a calendar
60.
year. So some businesses choose to do like Tuesday, Thursday throughout the year. Some choose to do all their, like some of our tax companies choose to do their whole 60 days at, the beginning of the year. Really each individual business kind of decides how they want to use their time. That gets their permit.
And there are businesses that have it out every day and choose to pay the fine, I think.
I think you would be correct in saying
Yeah.
that.
Do we know what the fine is, how much that is? Do you know?
No, I don't. I don't know that.
Okay. But that does happen.
I know that they have been ticketed and they do have
Pay
to
them.
go before the judge, but I don't know, what
Okay.
the result is.
Well, I got to get the questions out there.
That's okay.
So what is the permit process for a new sign? What do they do? Did we cover that?
I think we did. Essentially, they just have to submit their
Go to the city hall
Mm-hmm.
and then show what the sign looks like.
Right. And then if it's a new sign, like a brand new installed on a wall, the building official also has to look at it to make sure that it's secured to the wall appropriately and all of that kind of good stuff. But if other signs would just get reviewed by me.
And then if they install a sign naturally without a permit, they're going to get fined or
Yeah,
the
or
ordinance
they'll have to
officer.
go back. I would say one of the things that is included in is being looked at in terms of fees and permit fees is to have an after the fact permit where, there would be consequences for people doing things, without their permit.
Right.
Because it does take more
Rules
time.
were made to be broken, huh?
It takes more time by staff. It takes more time by the inspectors, the code enforcement officer. I mean, so that time, it's not really fair to everybody else.
Right.
That did follow the process.
Yeah, I get it. All right, well, let's move on to new business in Garden City. What can you tell us what's going on in Garden City? Some new projects, businesses.
So we've had
blah,
a
blah.
few in the past couple months. You may have seen over on Ford Road at 27505 Ford. As you get closer to Inkster, it's called Flowers by Renee, a new florist over
Yes,
there.
we did see that.
Have you seen that? Yeah.
Very nice.
So, yeah, you should go check that out.
Mm-hmm.
We've also had on Industrial, we have at 32639 Industrial, they're called D&D Executive Transportation, but it's a limo company. So
Really?
if you need to get some limos for prom or anything.
We just did the road rally
I
in
saw
the
that
limo.
on
Did you
your
see that?
Facebook. That looked
That was
fun.
awesome. That was a lot of fun, let me tell you.
It's been there for a couple months, since the end of last year, but Good Burger on Inkster, I don't know if anyone's had a
Yeah,
chance to
Good
go
Burger
there.
over there not far from El Satan's.
That's another new one. Inkster, we've had a few. We have a new chiropractor that located at 1035 Inkster. They're called Manor Chiropractic. They're in the office building that is just like south of the funeral home. There was those two office buildings.
okay,
They're
okay.
over there.
Yeah.
We've had some plans recently approved by the Planning Commission, so it hasn't actually happened yet, but I anticipate it happening soon in construction and permitting getting underway. But the Shell station at the corner of Henry Ruff and Ford has a site plan
They wanna
approval to expand.
yeah.
And that was another one where we rezoned it, and we had, we had to work with them to rezone it to accommodate their expansion. Mobile gas, you can currently see that one being under renovation down by A&W.
Right.
That's another recent improvement.
Yep.
We have currently under review, there is a new owner for the former Flaming Greek, I think it was called, or the Greek Flame.
Greek Flame on Cherry Hill and Inkster.
Cherry Hill and Vinoy.
Or Cherry Hill and Vinoy,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you're right.
So we have received.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah.
Yeah, our neighbor.
Yeah.
He used to like to go up there and get some breakfast in the morning. He was an early riser, and
There you go.
then the car went through the window, and they never reopened.
Well, we have a new owner, and they
Cool.
would like to open a restaurant. They're in there doing some remodeling and bringing it, up
Awesome.
to code. For
Awesome.
But yeah, there should be a new restaurant opening there
great.
soon.
I will. He'll be thrilled.
Oh.
That's Mrs. Chat, by the way. She doesn't want to get on camera or anything, but
I don't know what the name. I don't know what the name of it's going to be yet, but I don't think everyone knows where.
yeah.
We
Greek Flame. Cool.
The other thing that we have going on now is, as you know, Garden City Hospital has relatively new owners now.
Right.
And they have been submitting for some permits to do some improvements on the site, some infrastructure improvements to their lift station. They're going to be putting in a new roof. But they've also submitted plans for a relatively small addition, but in addition to the building, to accommodate a new cardiac cath lab and an OB suite. Yes. So
they'll be doing cath.
they're going to be doing some work over there, which is kind of exciting to see that investment happen at the hospital.
Yeah, I think they had said they had like, what was it, $32 million or something they were going to invest outside over the next 5 years or something. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, no parking garage.
No plans for a parking garage.
Well, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Good news. A lot of stuff going on then.
Yes, those are the ones kind of most recently.
Go ahead.
Is there anything at all in the works for the Ford Road in Merriman northwest corner?
No.
Yeah.
It's a small
Lot.
site, and it's hard to get something in there, apparently.
Yeah.
What about the old car dealership?
No. Well, there is the new
Suburban.
owners over there, but there has been no
movement.
plans submitted at this time for any future use of that property. But yeah.
Yeah, it'd be nice if they develop that, get going on it, do something.
That's a big stretch of property there.
That
It's
is.
probably one of the biggest stretches we have to develop,
Yeah.
to develop here. But yes, no.
Rosebud trees on that property. And I know I never would have missed them.
She's in the garden club. Right.
Yeah, so that site, again, every once in a while you hear something, but nothing has formally been submitted. Or
Yeah, that's too bad. You hear a lot of stuff, but nothing really developing yet. So what's your contact information? I said I'd get that out there.
know.
If people want to contact you, they have questions or they want to open a business, they can come to you directly or talk it over.
Yep. So if they want to talk to me in person, again, I'm available at City Hall on Wednesdays from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. I'm in the city administration portion of the City Hall. So if you come in the doors that are by the police
Cheryl?
department, by Cheryl.
Okay.
Turn left, and I'm back in there. And that number at City Hall is 734-793-1663. When I'm not there, I'm at the McKenna offices, which are in Northville, and I can be reached at 248-596-0920. And email is always great, too, and that is Neary, N as in Nancy, EARY, at mcka.com.
Yep. Okay. Similar to Sarah's.
Yes.
Well, that's awesome. Anything else you wanted to cover while you're here?
No, I thank
Get
you
out
for letting
there.
me.
No, this
be
was a
here,
blast.
and,
I'm glad I met you, and I think we covered a lot of things, that's going to be helpful to people. Answer some of their questions. Put some of it to rest.
And there's still, people might still have questions. We kind of talked surface, there's always the details that get the devil's in the details. So, if anybody needs any more information, call or email me.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate it. Mike, you have anything else you want to say?
No, that's okay.
All right. Well, you're welcome to stay and listen to the rest of the show.
Yeah,
or
I'd love to.
I know if you want to leave, you're welcome to leave. And I know you have things to do, but we're glad to have you.
Unfortunately, I don't tonight.
All right, cool. I don't know when Richard's going to be here. He says he's at a meeting in Westland right now. Huh? Well, what? Yeah, I do have some texts. Let's see what we got. Richard, on the way. Okay. Richard's on the way. All right, so let's see. That was Amy Neary, and we appreciate her coming on. All right, let me mention the council wanted me to remind you that the next city council meeting is April 27th at 7 p.m. in the City Hall chambers located at 6000 Middlebelt Road. They urge all residents to attend. Also, if you haven't been to the Brenda's Butterfly Habitat, Cheryl, you could talk about this forever. You don't want to miss it because it's located at Barson's Greenhouse, 6414 Merriman Road. Her 2015 season opens June 4th through September 5th, and she'll be open Thursday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., and if it's raining, she'll be closed. But it's a great place to hang out with the kids or grandkids or just by yourself. It's all free, but donations are accepted, so you're going to want to check that out. It's a great place. Right there? Yeah. Have you been there, Mike?
Oh, yeah.
Really nice. She did a great job over there.
Grandkids loved it.
Yeah. Let me mention the GCBA and the DDA Taste Fest is May 19th. Tickets are now available. They're $20 per person, and it's a T-shirt, which is going to act as your ticket. We had our events meeting today, and it went real well. We pounded out a few more things, I guess, at the meeting. And all registration forms must be turned in no later than May 1st at the DDA office, and tickets are limited, so you might want to get them early. Forms are available at the DDA office at 29213 Ford Road. You can call them at 734-261-2830, or you can go online at gctastefest.com for more information, and the forms are there for you to print out, fill out, and return to the DDA as well. If you'd like to be a sponsor, sponsorship forms are also available. The deadline for sponsors is May 1st, too. 8 different venues will be involved. You're going to start at the Merriman Road Baptist Church, where you will pick up your T-shirts, itinerary, and a ballot to vote for the venue you like the most. The church will be providing refreshments, and entertainment is going to be there. I wonder if Elvis is going to be there this year. They do a great job over there. Each venue will have a ballot box, so at your last venue you visit, be sure to drop your ballot in the box for your favorite venue. Buses will also be provided, or you can drive yourself. Be sure to mark your registration form as to which one that you're going to be doing. If you're going to decide to drive, we ask that you, if you consume alcohol, please have a designated driver. The other venues on this year's Taste Fest are Albert's on the Alley, Golden Feather, Garden City Cafe, Sports Venue Bar and Grill, El Satan's, Toast Family Dining, and Plato's Place. Should be a fantastic time, so be sure to come hungry. Now, if you're interested in becoming a member of the GCBA, please visit their website at gcbiz48135.org. And our Facebook page at facebook.com/Garden City Business Alliance, where you'll find much more information. Okay, with some more announcements, we're going to head over to Mike Jones. Mike, what do you got?
I got several this evening, Gary. First one is the Garden City Cougars, the athletic boosters, are having their spring golf outing Saturday, April 25th, for golfers scramble, 7:30 a.m. registration, 8:30 a.m. shotgun start, 2:30 p.m. banquet dinner, prizes and raffles, 50-50 basket, price is $85 a person or $320 for a foursome that's going to be at the Gateway Golf Club in Romulus. Next one is a reminder that the community is having a shred day and food drive at the City Hall parking lot on May 2nd from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. They'll accept up to 5 paper grocery bags or cardboard banker's boxes of sensitive paper documents from Garden City residents and businesses to shred at no charge. Cars must be in line by 12:45 p.m. because it closes at 1, and if you want to get service, that they will also be having a food drive from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. in the parking lot. This event will be going on at the same time as the Shred Day, and the donations, of course, are going to the Maplewood Community Center food bank. Also at the Maplewood Community Center on Friday, May 8th, there's a Mother's Day tea party.
Tea party?
Tea party.
Did you say tea party?
Richard is in the house, by the way.
It's got nothing to do with conservative Republican politics. It's presented by the Maplewood Senior Center Department. It's going to be Friday, May 8th from 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock. Tickets are sold at the Balmoral desk or call 734-793-1870. Tickets are $12 per person. Please bring your favorite teacup. Then try your luck at the volunteer committee's basket raffle. Several baskets to win. Tickets in the raffle sold only at the event. An Agent Orange Town Hall, May 9th, Northville High School Auditorium.
That's the one that's going to be on our show.
Right, they're going to be on our show next week.
Yep.
That's at 45,700 6 Mile Road in Northville. Registration opens at 7 a.m. It's free for veterans, their families, medical staff, and the general public. It's presented by the Vietnam Veterans of America, Chapter 528. You can get more information from them next week on our show. Coffee, tea, breakfast, snack, advanced registration, helpful. Register at www.vva528.org or call 734-421-1805 and press 2. Many speakers, including U.S. Congressman David Trott, will be speaking.
Mm-hmm.
The last one I have is from the Garden City Lions Club. They're having their 5th annual Charity Bowl, May 16th at Cherry Hill Lanes, 300 Inkster Road, Dearborn Heights, at 5 p.m. $20, you get 3 games, shoes, pizza, and pop. Mystery 50-50, trophies for first place. Best in high games for women and men. The best in our tin can raffle baskets that are loaded with great things. Host is Cindy Wagner, 313-407-0239, or Larry Huff, 734-660-0920. And I would be amiss if I didn't mention that also on May 16th, the Garden City Kiwanis will be having their annual Kids Day in the Park.
That's a big deal.
At City Park from about 11 to 4. There's going to be much activities, primarily for kids in the age range of about 3 to 12. But we have several bouncers, a rock climbing wall. We have a scavenger hunt, a magician.
Are these kids pretty tough? Why you got bouncers there? Several
Guys
bouncers.
are real comedian.
Rough crowd.
Rough crowd.
We're going to ask you to volunteer to catch them with the bouncers. The food will be available for purchase. It's relatively cheap. I think it's like $3 for a kid.
Yeah.
Or if you have more than one kid, it's $5 for the whole family.
Yeah.
Thing. And they get a wristband and they can go on the bouncers all day long. Be a magic show.
It's a good
Hat
time.
Decorations. There's going to be cookie decorations. There's, I think, an ID
A
program.
lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff going on. Well worth it. A lot of fun for all those who want to participate.
All right, and I understand they did. Kiwanis did very well at the poker.
Yeah, we did. We had a very successful fundraiser at Vision Lanes and poker over the weekend.
Big bucks.
Yeah, about $6,000.
Yeah, that's what I heard. That's big. Very
That's
big.
huge.
It is huge.
Congrats.
4-day event.
Yeah, it is. All right, well, Richard's here. Thank you, Mike.
Richard's here.
Let's hear what's going on with you. You were with Mr. Evans today,
I was.
and care to share what that was all about? A little bit.
The executive is taking the show on the road, so to speak, to 4 different areas within Wayne County, and at each of the Wayne County Community College District campuses, and basically saying to the public, come on in, I'll share what we're proposing in terms of our financial situation and condition, and then you tell me what you think, and we're going to work on it.
Can't get no more transparent than that.
Well,
That's pretty transparent.
the meeting today was not pleasant.
Really?
Now, in
Wow.
an effort to provide full transparency, this is the only one that I've attended.
Mm-hmm.
I did not attend the first 2, and I'm not going to attend the last one. But this one, my neck of the woods, so to speak, is in Belleville.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say that there were about 600 people in attendance.
Wow.
And I'd say about 500 of those people, seriously, were employees.
Really?
And it was really, really disruptive.
Pretty ugly, huh?
The difficulty with it is several-fold, of course, but people's livelihoods are being discussed. So
People
I
that
get-
are possibly
I get
going to
that.
lose their jobs.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Or reduction in pay.
Right. Right.
And I don't think this was intended for that. Correct?
I think Possibly.
Really?
You know, because it is part
He knew
of
he was
the
gonna get a little
plan
heat.
that's been put out there. In fact, he did say pensions, wages, benefits,
Concessions.
positions, all of it is going to be. I mean, that's 95% of our spend, quite frankly.
The people business.
And that is the exact
That's
verbiage.
exactly
he used.
it.
And so I do understand that part of it. The problem this evening, in part, was he did not have the ability to share relevant portions of the plan because there were so many outbursts
Oh, wow.
and screaming and
Oh, you're
yelling
kidding.
and hollering and
Was
it
any of
just-
the news
it
media
made-
there?
Probably. I mean, I don't know.
Lord.
I would imagine they were.
That's pretty
But,
embarrassing.
So at a point, he finally threw in the towel and said, I think what we're going to do then is just, I'm going to take questions and hopefully we'll get to respond to some of the questions with some of the stuff I was going to share anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I had to leave at about an hour and 15 minutes into it or so because I had been asked last night, to attend briefly a homeowners association meeting in Southeast Westland. So I left, and it was just getting ramped up when I was leaving.
Wow.
And again, it's not that I would wish people not express concerns, but in this type of environment, I wanted to hear it. I wanted to hear the public presentation. I get the commission presentation. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
I've got a copy of it.
Right.
I've heard it, but it's not the same flavor.
Yeah.
And so I really had hoped it would be a little bit different there today. Now, how
Now,
it
he's
ended-
got how many more of these he's going to do? One more?
next week. So I'm not sure how it ended or if it has
Maybe some changes for that meeting. maybe, I don't know.
You know, I mean,
What are you going to
there's
do? You
public
can't
meetings.
lock them out.
Public meeting. Well, no,
Public meeting.
he probably expected some of this, and maybe
Not to that extent.
maybe
though.
the first two were like that. For all I know, I have no
Could
idea.
be, yeah. Yeah.
But there was protesting in the parking lot. There was protesting in the vestibule area. There was a real coordinated effort to express dissatisfaction.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I'm going to be interested to see how what happened and how it's perceived.
Yeah.
Because there were several people in the area that I was sitting.
Was anybody
didn't
thrown
appreciate
out?
it. Yes.
Really?
Well, thrown out, I don't know about thrown out.
Or asked to leave?
There were
Put
some
it-
people that were escorted out.
Okay.
There were several public safety people there. But I don't think that it was for expressing an opinion. I think it was, for other stuff. I couldn't see it. There were a lot of people there.
Yeah, wow. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Draws a crowd. Well, that's important. It's an important
It's very
time.
important. One of the things that he said was, we're dealing with a $52 million structural deficit.
Yeah.
And overspend every year of $52 million. Wow. You can't sell a couple of cars and, a few city buildings or county buildings rather,
No.
get out of that mess.
No.
That you're talking structural. This is where we're going to have less people doing less things.
A lot.
The old thing where, less people doing the same amount of work, that's gone.
Yeah.
The same amount of work is going to be trimmed significantly.
Cutting the fat, for sure.
I'm going to say there's not the fat you think there is in the county proper. The areas where the overspend is, primarily the sheriff department. I walked in with two deputy sheriffs that I know. I've known these two people.
That's tough to
a
cut over
long
there,
time.
though.
Well,
I mean, boy.
they were
I
speaking
hate to see
under the assumption that I would not reveal who they are, and since you weren't there and didn't see them, I'll tell you that some of the information they shared was enlightening, and that there's been a transformation over the course of the past several years, and it's not, in a public safety sense, beneficial. It's really the friends and family plan, and I was very disappointed to hear such graphic detail regarding that.
Really?
And so I said, we need to talk. I want to hear.
Yeah, we need to
hear
talk
more.
off camera.
So,
Yeah.
But even the sheriff department, if you cut half of it, which we're not going to do, but if you did,
God, no.
You still haven't addressed the entire problem. Financial problem.
That's a lot of money.
So on my Facebook page, I posted a couple things.
Did you?
About that meeting.
Okay.
And there are some people that are not happy with what I posted. But that's okay.
Yeah.
Calls them as I sees them.
Yeah. We pretty much do on this show, too. I kind of put her under the thing.
Really?
A little bit.
What did he do?
No, it was all good.
You want me to kick him?
No,
It was all good. No, you just have to get that out there because, I mean, we hear things in the community, so, you want to explain that to you, and I think
I'm
we
not
did.
big on surprises. Unless it's a birthday party, I don't care for them at all.
Right. Yeah.
And, some of the stuff, though, that people are hearing today is not really a surprise. This is stuff that, if it's benefited
out there,
you
yeah.
or if it's benefited you and your family or your organization or, your department, a lot of folks have not spoken up for various reasons.
Yeah.
I know, Mike, but didn't they already start the cuts, like with the Veterans Administration and all those consolidations?
Well, yeah,
No,
consolidation, but
No, they have not started anything, actually.
no.
But it's part of a reorganization proposal.
Right.
The commission has another month
But there are
and a
some
half
people gone.
to address it. Well, but those are individual positions. That's
Right.
not a consolidation.
No. Individual positions.
Yeah.
Right.
And they were political appointments. The charter and the budget together allow for about 140-something political appointments. Now, some folks were criticizing that, but the fact is some of the appointments that are in the charter are department head positions. So they're not political. They're, to get things done.
Yeah.
Like
right, exactly.
Like your seniors and veterans director, for example. That's an appointment. Is it political? No, but is your PR person or persons, is that political? Of course it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, you need people to get in there to get things done.
To run those in.
Yeah, that's the thing, the
To run those
duplications.
separately.
Right.
That's where there was so much duplication of effort, but they all.
Yeah, that's what they're looking
I
at.
don't know. I'm not convinced that.
That's why he wants to consolidate.
Really not.
Well, you try organizing an event and seeing
Yeah.
how many different heads you have to go through to get the same result because they all have the same
That's true.
agenda. I mean, the seniors and the veterans and families are all intertwined.
But what I like to do is take a step back, and if you've had that issue and you're trying to get A, B, and C done, that's a legitimate issue. And if another person is trying to get X, Y, and Z done that has nothing to do with A, B, and C, and they're having the same issue. I mean, if everybody is having the same issue, yes, but not everybody goes to the same people for the same things. So what I want to make sure is that our statutorily and charter required obligations are met. Beyond that, well, then it's up for talk.
Yeah.
Like, for example, one of the things, and we're going to hear some screaming about it,
Yeah.
is the Library for the Blind is proposed to be no longer there. Okay?
Ooh.
Now,
Wow.
it's not required. It's not required by the charter. It's not a mandated service. And if I were to ask you, how many people do you think on a weekly basis use it? What would you say?
I
I mean,
couldn't
it's a big
guess.
county, so,
Yeah. I couldn't guess. Really.
50.
That's it?
50.
Wow.
It costs us $400,000.
Well,
If you move it, they'll probably never find it because they're blind.
That is not nice.
we are live.
So what I would say is that there is a great example of where, because we're nice people, except for Mike Jones, because we're nice people, we want to provide service to everybody that we can for
Right.
all reasons.
Yeah.
So now we have somebody that has an affliction that potentially their outlet, the thing that they like to do, could be on the chopping block. And so if you're very matter of fact about it, you say, is it required or not? The answer is no, get rid of it. But we
Yeah,
can
there's
also
gonna be
say that about the homeless shelter. As
Yeah.
I said last week.
Yeah, right.
We're the only county in the entire state that operates a homeless shelter for families.
Yeah.
And we have about 20 families there. The only county in the entire state. And that costs us a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
So should we do it?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of gray areas
Is
there,
that
man.
duplication? Because
I wouldn't
other
want
folks,
to be the one accident.
Well, but you know, other folks provide services. Salvation Army, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So should we cut it?
Still a lot of people
It's
out on the
not
street.
black and white.
No, it isn't. That's the thing.
So when you go to a department and you need something done and you have to go to 4 different people to get it done, on the surface that might seem, God, everybody's doing the same thing. Why are there so many? But that's not because those 4 people, that's their only job. They probably have 25 other responsibilities each as well. And so when this consolidation proposal comes before us, what I want to know is what's getting cut. If you tell me nothing, I don't believe you. I don't believe you.
Yeah, I don't
We have
either.
been in a financial quandary for more than a decade.
Mm-hmm.
That is
Something's got to
gone.
go. Yeah.
That is gone. Bone is eroding. We're down to the marrow.
Mm-hmm.
And you could say, I don't believe you. And then I'd say, look at your own city.
Mm-hmm.
Look at my city. Look at the other communities around us. We've all gone through this.
Yep.
So it's, you know, I can't say, well, you have fat and I don't. There's no fat.
Mm-mm.
Michigan, in my opinion, I don't care what that stock market says, has not fully recovered.
No, it hasn't.
And it's going to be a long time yet.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll hit another
Absolutely.
recession before we have recovery. We will. And if fuel prices,
let's hope
if
not.
they ever go back up, it's all over.
Yeah. Yeah, because right now,
Right now,
I mean,
that's what's helping.
It's exactly.
So the whole county thing, this reorganization is very, very interesting if you take an objective step back and look at it. Because
Yeah,
the
boy.
reorganization is on paper. We're going to shuffle that around a bit. We're going to eliminate those slots.
The cuts, yeah.
Combine that, consolidate that, and we want your approval. Nowhere.
I got a
on the
feeling there's going to be some
consolidation-
lawyers involved in this.
Nowhere within the consolidation per se does it say we need to cut your retirement health care. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
We need to transition you to the Affordable Care Act if you're over 65.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, I heard
that's
that.
part of the overall
Big
proposal.
picture, yeah.
And who's complaining about veterans and senior services being combined right now? Exactly, to me, 3 people. Exactly 3. One of them sitting behind me. And 2 other people.
No, I'm for it.
I think maybe I misunderstood then. I think if you
No, they overlap so much. I think that they would be served better if they were all under one umbrella.
Oh, well, that's what they're looking at. I know.
so
That's their reason.
and then if you don't have a family member that is retired from the county,
Mm-hmm.
if you're not a retired county employee,
Mm-hmm.
if you don't really care about retired county employees, you might say, I don't care if they go on to the Affordable Care Act or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we've had a couple commissioners actually say that. I'm not one of them. I think the Affordable Care Act is horrible and lousy. I hope I'm never on it. And so I wouldn't want to stiff anybody by sticking them in there.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think it's an obligation. You got to figure it out.
Yeah.
So I don't run up to the employees who are screaming and hollering and say, I agree. But I have empathy for their
Oh, yeah.
situation.
Absolutely.
But I conduct myself differently.
Mm-hmm.
The meeting I just left, Homeowners Association, we talked about advocacy.
Yeah.
And when asked for my opinion on a couple things, I said, you have credibility. You have respect. You've earned it. It took a long time. You can lose that in a meeting if you go nuts. You go crazy.
That's
People
true.
look at you differently.
Oh, yeah.
Then you are not valued.
Yeah.
And so what's happened in with certain people and certain groups of people is that they've gone crazy. And they're not crazy people, but they've gone crazy. And so what's happening is there's less folks that are willing to listen to them and less folks that are willing to say, let's work together.
Yeah.
It's a bad situation. And it was made a lot worse over the course of the last dozen years or so with horrible decisions
Oh, yeah.
that were made by elected
Bad
officials
decisions.
and that affected taxpayers and employees. Horrible.
Yep.
Horrible.
Yep.
The executive mentioned
can't
tonight,
let
I
that
thought it was
happen
pretty
again.
good, actually. He said, you know, we work in a beautiful building called the Guardian Building.
Yeah.
Very, very beautiful Art Deco, just a gorgeous building. And you know what? It's not a government building. And I clapped. I mean, it's a horrible government building.
Mm-hmm.
From the first day I walked into that place, I thought this was a horrible decision.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you've said that before.
I have.
Yeah.
But,
beautiful, but
you know, we get ourselves into this mess. We, you know, construct and you know, pay for a
then you try backpedaling.
racing operation. You know, racehorses out by the airport. The Racino,
right.
the
Pennington.
Pinnacle.
Yeah, Pinnacle.
Who in the heck ever thought that was a good idea?
Well.
Yeah, well, we can name them. It's
yeah, we
public
can.
record.
Yeah, we can.
I wasn't one of them. $25 million out the door.
Yeah.
That jail.
Right. Now they're wanting to put like out by Birch Run. What do you call that? Outlet centers. Outlet mall.
Yeah,
that's what I heard.
You know, on Tuesday, I'll tell you that my committee, we've got some folks coming in from St. Louis that are interested in a multi-hundreds of millions of dollars proposal for the county. So we'll see. They're being pushy. And I'll say this, we're on radio, and I don't care if they hear it.
Bring them in.
They're being very pushy, and they want immediate approval. And what I've said is, no.
Can't do it.
We're going to be very deliberative. We're going to take our time. The last time somebody did this, we got a jail out of it.
Exactly.
Or maybe we didn't.
Right. Exactly. I agree totally.
So
we are on the same page there.
So as far as the county, a lot of stuff going on.
It's
starting to get exciting again.
Oh, man.
You know, there was
it's
a lull
not just
while
proposal one.
Oh, that
yeah,
loser?
let's visit that.
That loser.
Anything you want to comment on?
Watch my Facebook page in a week.
Okay. Yeah, because we're getting close. Getting close.
I was asked a question.
I haven't got the latest poll though. Has anybody seen the latest poll?
There are no
polls yet.
Polls that have been released.
Okay, not since I had
but
that.
I was asked on Facebook by a person I've known for quite a while, 20 years or so. Said, "Hey, I want the honest skinny." And you know, is proposal one going to fund other things? So I took a very small segment of my release that's going to go out next week, and posted it, and it's like, you know, wow.
Tell them to listen to the show. My God, we've talked about it for a month.
That I hang with, nobody that I live with, nobody that I'm related to, is voting for this.
I know. I haven't heard anybody yet that is.
You know, and as recently as 6-7 weeks ago, I said I thought it'd be close. I'm no longer feeling that way.
It's going to tighten up a little bit.
From 70-30? I agree. It'll tighten up from that.
I don't think it's going to fly. I really don't. I just got this feeling. And they are pouring a ton of money into the
there's
media.
Another $2 million being spent between now and then.
And I haven't seen
last night.
one commercial against it.
We've gotten 3 robocalls on it just in the last 2 days.
Yeah.
I get a
Mike is getting everything.
I get an 8.5 by 11 postcard every day in the mail.
We're on the wrong list.
What the
Kerry.
heck? What list are you guys
Are you an
on?
absentee voter?
Hey, he's not a registered Republican, and he's getting all these Republicans that want money. Look at all these emails. It's ridiculous.
Marsha Blackburn says, stop Hillary. Dick Cheney says, we got to reverse Obama. I got requests for money from Ted Cruz, from Marco Rubio. From
I'm going to
Rand
turn my
Paul.
mic off.
I think,
Wow.
Why me?
Exactly. I don't know.
You're loved somewhere. Right.
You are loved. You are a love
I
machine.
have very little in common with any of these people. Some of them I actually
Well, we know someone who doesn't like you. The folks that use the blind library.
Oh, my God. Do you want to retract? Come on, man.
Yeah, do it before we get off the air.
Exactly.
You got to apologize for that one.
Exactly. God. I'm glad they listen.
You know what I noticed?
What'd you notice?
This pen.
Yeah.
I got there today.
Yeah.
Every junky pen they had to sign in didn't work. So I said, what about that pen there?
That's the best.
Grab the same one.
Is that the J&J taxes or what's that?
No, Wayne County Veterans.
Oh, okay. No, that's not so hot. No, that's very good.
All right, that's all I got.
That's all you got?
More next week.
All right, more next week. All right, well, let me just do a couple of announcements here, and then we'll call it a show. The 7th annual Biker Blessing is going to be held Saturday, May 16th, and that's going to be at the Merriman Road Baptist Church. Registration opens at 10, blessing at 1 o'clock, and then it will be followed by a Matthew Brotherton Memorial Cancer Ride.
I hope we can get them out for the face painting on the same day.
I know. And then May 16th from 9 a.m. to 3 at Hosanna Tabor Lutheran Church, they're going to have a spring and craft show. Do you guys want to hold your own show over there? Or?
Yeah,
No,
yeah, we're
we're
going to
not.
hold our own show.
Did
Hurry
you
up.
hear the music? And that's at 9600 Laverne Road. Oh, American Legion Auxiliary Unit 396 putting it on. The admission's $1. There's going to be a bake sale. The Straight Farmhouse is starting their outdoor flea market, and that's going to be the second and third Saturday of each month, starting in June through September. And did you do? Oh, I'm doing it, I guess. The Garden City Relay for Life, May 30th and May 31st at the Garden City Middle School, 1851 Radcliffe in Garden City. Survivor registration, 9:30 a.m. Celebration and Survivor Lap, 10 a.m. Followed by a complimentary breakfast and activities for all survivors and their caregivers. Please register in advance at relayforlife.org/GardenCityMI or call 248-663-3419. And that's all I have. So, you know what? What do you got, Mike?
We should mention that the filing deadline is passed, and so there will be a primary in August for mayor. There's 3 candidates running,
Yeah.
and 2 challengers.
I thought,
Hold on. They have until tomorrow to withdraw.
Well, that's true. But,
yeah.
City council, there probably won't be because they've got 5 candidates, 4 incumbents, and 1 challenger, and they would have to have 9 in order to have a primary. The library board will not be they've only got 3 for 3 positions, so that.
And don't
there
forget
won't
the
be a
millage
primary,
vote.
But there will be the public safety millage on the August ballot. So mayor and public safety millage will be
Primary.
voting issues on the primary.
Right. All right. And we can talk about the election a little bit more next week, too. And the week before that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I think we're ready to call this a podcast. I want to thank our special guest, Amy Neary, Senior Principal Planner with McKenna Associates for our community. Thank you, Amy. Appreciate it. It's some great information, too, so I hope everybody listens. And to contact Amy, you can give her a call. I'm going to put her number out there again if you have any questions. She's at City Hall Wednesday, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Her phone number is 734-793-1663. Or you can get a hold of her at McKenna, 248-596-0920. Or you can email her at aneary, Neary, at mck.com. Right? All right. Also, thank you to my co-hosts, Mike, Tom, and Richard. Great job as always. It's nice you showed up, Richard. Appreciate that.
Say it like you mean it.
Also, Holly and Joy, all the way from Wisconsin. Thank you. And thank you to everyone who hung out with us in the chat room and the ones that will be watching our show later on YouTube. We really appreciate your support. Remember, the audio from tonight's show will be on our Facebook page, facebook.com/GC Community Chat, shortly after we sign off, and the video sometime tomorrow on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Community Chat Show. And let me mention that if you'd like to come on the show, be a guest, we'd love to have you. Maybe you own a business or belong to an organization and would like to share your information with us and the community. Just send us an email at gccommunitychat@gmail.com, and we will shoot you some dates available, and that's all there is to it. No, not shoot them, but shoot some dates to them. So remember, the success of a community depends on the community. Please support your local businesses. And if you see something, say something. Look out for one another out there. For all your weather needs, head on over to DopperTomsWeather.com. Join us next week, April 30th, when we welcome Vietnam veteran Richard Waldecker discussing Agent Orange, and Senator David Knesik will join us as well, right here on TalkShoe.com, show ID 82757. So on behalf of Richard, Mike, Tom, Holly, Joey, and Amy, this is Kerry. Take care. See you next time.
Good night.